I'm going to do a vehicle inspection, the first phase. I'm going to chuck my wheels if my truck wasn't on a flat surface. I'm going to secure the vehicle, make sure the keys on the floorboard, the truck is in neutral, and the brake valves are pulled out. Going to the front of the truck. Check underneath the truck and check the overall condition of the truck, that it's not leaning one side of another. That would be a sign of a suspension problem. Under the vehicle, there's no leaks from the engine, transmission, or coolant system. Check the clearance lights at the top of the truck. They're not broken, cracked, missing, and they're the proper color of amber. I'm going to check my headlights on both sides of the vehicle. The headlights are securely mounted, clean, not broken, and the turn signal is proper color of amber. Move to the passenger side under the hood, checking the coolant reservoir. It's securely mounted, not leaking, not cracked. It's filled to the adequate level, and the cap is secured. If I needed to add fluid, I would add it here. I'm checking my hoses on all this side of the engine and wires. My hoses are not frayed, cut, tore, ripped. My fittings and couplings are all secured, not cracked, broken, and not leaking. My water pump is securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts. It's not leaking. It is belt driven. I'm checking my belt, that is securely mounted. It's not frayed, cut, tore, ripped, or any loose fibers. And I'm pushing on my belt to make sure it doesn't deflect more than 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. If it does, it could cause slippage. Checking my exhaust from my turbo all the way back underneath, all the way up to my tailpipe, that it is securely mounted. There's no missing clamps, no missing bolts. It's not dented, rusted, or any carbon soot. My heat shield is securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts, and it's properly secured. My catwalk and steps are securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts. It can support my weight. It's no foreign objects, and it's got a non-skid surface. Going over to the driver's side. Starting at the back, all my wires and hoses throughout the vehicle, and this cluster of hoses and wires are securely mounted, no missing or broken fittings or couplings, and they're not leaking. They're tied away from the engine, moving engine parts. They're not frayed, cut, tore, ripped, or any wire showing or cracks. From there, checking my oil. I'm going to pull out my dipstick, wipe it off, place my dipstick back into the engine, hold it for a second, pull it back out, and it has to be between the add and full mark on the engine oil. If I needed to add oil, I would add it here. Checking my alternator. It's securely mounted, not broken, not cracked, no missing nuts or bolts. The wires are securely mounted and not frayed. It is belt driven. The belt is not cut, tore, ripped, or any loose fibers. And when I push on my belt, it doesn't deflect more than 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Power steering reservoir. Securely mounted, no missing clamps, filled to the adequate level, not leaking. My power steering hoses. Power steering hoses are not frayed, cut, tore, not cut, not leaking. The fittings and couplings are securely mounted and not leaking. Follow this power steering hose all the way back to the power steering pump, which is hard to see, but it's way back here. Power steering pump, and directly behind the power steering pump is the air compressor. The power steering pump and air compressor are both securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts. It's not cracked or broken or leaking, and they're both gear driven. Coming back down, following this reservoir hose to my gearbox. My gearbox is securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts. It's not cracked, broken, or leaking. My steering linkage, which consists of my pitman arm, drag link, upper control arm, lower control arm way down there, and way back there goes across to the other side, steering linkage or drag link. None of the bars or part components of the steering linkage or bent, broken, or cracked. They're all connected with ball joints, with a castle nut and a cotter pin, and all secure. My leaf spring hangers, I got a leaf spring hanger here in the front, and I got a leaf spring hanger in the rear. They're both securely mounted, no missing bushings, and not cracked, broken, or bent, or missing bolts. My leaf spring right here, it is not shifted, broken, missing, or cracked, and there's no missing bushings. U-joints, 2 U-joints with 4 large nuts on the bottom. There's 2 in the front here and 2 in the back. It is securely mounted, not missing, cracked, broken, or loose. Airline for my air brakes. Airline can supply air. Not cracked, broken, missing. Fittings and couplings are not leaking. Brake drum, brake air chamber. Securely mounted, no missing clamps, no severe dents, no holes, and it's not leaking. Slack adjuster here, push rod here. Securely mounted with 2 pins and cotter pins, and a snap ring. If I pull on it by hand, it doesn't pull more than 1 inch for a manual, 1.5 inches for automatic slack adjusters, and it is not bent, cracked, or broken, and it's securely mounted. My drum is securely mounted, not cracked, no missing chunks. Brake liner, there's no chunks missing, and it's not worn dangerously thin. I would rub my hand on the inner of my drum and see if there's any contaminants such as grease or oil. If there is, there would be a sign of the inner hub seal leaking. My inner rim here and my outer rim here, they're both securely mounted, not cracked, not bent, not broken. There's no rust trails, and there's no welding repairs. My lug nuts, they're all here. They're tight, not missing, and no distortion of holes. My hub all seal is securely mounted, not leaking, and filled to the adequate level. My valve stem down here is securely mounted, not cracked, bent, or broken, and I would check my tire pressure with the truck tire gauge to manufacturer specs on the tire. It's written on the sidewall. My sidewalls of my tire, inner and outer, it's not worn dangerously. Nope, it's tire sidewalls. There's no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. My tread depth. My tread is evenly worn, or my face is evenly worn, with a minimum tread depth of 4/32. I will close the hood. I got 1 3-in-1 light here, 1 3-in-1 light here. These 3-in-1 lights are securely mounted, not missing, not broken, not in proper color of amber. And we're going to check the function from the end cap. I'm checking my driver's side mirror. It's securely mounted to the truck. My mirror is clean, not cracked, dirty, or broken. My door opens and closes properly. My door weather strip is fully intact, inner and outer. It's not cut, frayed, tore, ripped. My hinges are secured and not loose or broken. I have a properly charged secured fire extinguisher. I have my steps securely mounted, no missing nuts or bolts, can support my weight, free from foreign objects, and has a non-skid surface. And at this point, we would start the end cap.